Hey guys, Scott here. Today we're going to have a look at SharePoint List Forms. So they're the forms that come up when we click new in a SharePoint list, and it's how we enter items into a SharePoint list. We're particularly looking at something called conditional formulas. Now a conditional formula allows us to hide certain rows within that form based on what information is in other ones. And then as a little trick here, we can do something really cool. We can actually use conditional formulas to make sure rows only appear in that form if you're editing an existing item and not when you're putting in a new item. So for example, if you were to make a new item and you only just need the bare minimum in there, we don't need all of the other rows there. We can actually hide them using this little trick. So let's dive in and have a look to see how we do it. Okay, so here we have a simple list that I've made just for logging some jobs. So we've got a column here for job name, job description, status, assigned to, resolution notes. And how this is set up at the moment, if we go into here, the form is asking what's the job name. We've got some, let's just rearrange some columns here a second. So edit columns, we want our job description to be here. Title we're not using, so that's hidden and out the way. We've got a status of the job, who it's assigned to, and what the resolution notes are. Now, we save that, that's rearranged nicely. That means if we were to use this out of the box, when we go to new, it's going to put the job name in the job description. We've got our status is set to, if we just have a look here, the default is new, so that's fine. And we've also got down here who's assigned to as a people picker, resolution notes. So once we've resolved that issue, what are the notes for that resolution? Now what we're going to use today is something called a conditional formula, which is used in the forms here, that we can make these items turn on and off depending on what another one says. Now a prime example for that would be on here. Really, we only want resolution notes to show if the status is completed. So let's give that a go. Let's have a look. And when we go into edit columns here, we go to resolution notes. If we click the little three dots here, we've got edit conditional formula. And you can learn how to use conditional formulas by clicking this link, and it'll tell you exactly what we're doing. So we've got our lots of tips and ideas, and we can look at date ranges, whether it's higher than or equal to, so we can do ranges, so we can use ampersands here to actually do in-betweens. We can use person columns, we can use all sorts of booleans for our yes and no's. What we're going to do though, we're just going to copy this because it's got our formula in here ready to go. We're going to go back to here and we're going to paste this in, and we're not going to use category, we're going to use status. So if status equals completed, then resolution can show. Cool. And we'll notice now we can't untick this because we've used a conditional formula. We can remove the conditional formula, but it basically makes this look like a mandatory field when we're editing our columns. Now if I change this to completed, resolution notes now appears, which is exactly what we want. If we take that away, resolution notes aren't there. Fantastic, that's exactly what we want to see. So next on here then, our default on here was new. Let's actually just rearrange these a second. So assigned to first, so it's assigned to, then status, then resolution notes. That's a much more natural way of doing it. So who's it assigned to, what's the status of it, and then when it becomes completed, what were the resolution notes? Cool. So next up then, let's think about when we're adding this, let's say someone's triaging these tickets, so someone's creating these, there's been a phone call, a ticket's come in and it's new, but then it gets assigned to somebody. So what happens, and imagine a big long form that's got loads of information on here, the save button's all the way down at the bottom. We can be really clever and we can do something where we can actually make some of these columns only show when we're in edit mode. So if I'm just going to put something in, let's just do broken table. Table has a wobbly leg. Who's it assigned to? Let's assign it to Patty. and it's in the status of new. Cool. So when we click on here and go into edit, we get a slightly different look of the form because we've got comments here, but we've got the same items, the same rows. We can still edit our columns as well. What I want to do is on a new form, I want to keep it really simple. I just want to know what's the job name and what's the job description. I don't want to have to assign it to anybody at the beginning. I want to keep it really, really simple. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another column, just a text column, and I'm going to call it is new. And I'm going to put some default values in here. The default value is no. Okay, so when I create a new item, it's automatically put no in here, but it hasn't saved it yet because this item isn't live. When it saves it, it will put no in there. So for the time being, until it's saved, this really is blank. Now, what we can do, we're going to hide is new. So let's just hide it. Nobody needs to know it's there. We're just using it as a little helper to get us somewhere. We're also going to, in our form over here, we're going to get rid of is new as well. Nobody needs to know it's there, so it's gone. But what I'm going to do now is assigned to. I'm going to click on here and go enter, edit conditional formula, and I'm going to use same thing again. No point, reinventing the wheel. We're going to go over to here. I'm going to paste in, and we're going to use if is new is blank. Don't show. If it's not blank, i.e. the item has been saved and has a yes in there because that's what the default was, we can then show it. I'm going to copy that, press save, and we'll see that's gone. And we're going to do the same with status. So let's just go edit columns, edit conditional value. Okay, so what we've got now, when we create a new form, is only asking for a job name and a job description. So let's put in a job name is faulty TV, no channel 5. Press save. We put that in, and we can see it's put the default in as new because that's what we've set our list up as. But when I double click in here now, we can now see assigned to and status. That wasn't there when we were doing new. So we go new, assigned to, and status isn't there. So we can turn all of those features off on the new form. But then when we go into edit, we can now go, right, this has been assigned to, let's assign this one to Miriam. And then Miriam could go in here and go, well, actually, it's now in progress. That's cool. And then Miriam could go back in here and go, I've now completed it. And now when we completed it, it's asking what are my resolution notes. I retuned the TV. Done. And as quick as that, without any real modifications or having to use Power Apps or anything, what we're doing is we're modifying the form to make it really easy to use, to only show fields based on either other fields, or actually we've got that little trick where we're using that extra column, so that little hidden column. And if we go into here, look at our list settings, there it is. So we've just got an is new column, which is a single line of text, and it doesn't have to, the default in there is no. That could be anything. It could be a number. It could. All that matters is when a new item is being created, it hasn't been saved yet. So the default text hasn't been saved. So just to recap, when we go back to here and we look at our form, all we're doing is in that form if is new is blank, which means basically if this is a new item, do not show this item. If it isn't a new item, because there's something in is new, and that happens because it has a default value, then show this item. That's how that works. The other one in there, so the resolution notes, let's just recap on that one. If status is completed, then show what's our resolution notes. If not, don't show it. And there we have it, guys. So what we did there was we used conditional formulas within a SharePoint list form to hide columns based on the content of what was in another column in that form. But more importantly, what we did was we used those conditional formulas to actually manipulate the form and only show fields that we wanted on a new item versus editing an existing one, by just having that extra form there with a default value, because the default value doesn't exist when a new item has been created. It's not until it's been saved. So it's a little trick, it's a little play of the system to get it doing what we needed it to, but it means you can do some really clever things just with a little bit of outside the box thinking. As always, if you like what you've seen, like and subscribe for our future tips, and be excellent to each other.